The Baba Yaga. Leave the wolf to its prey.
She sent you here to kill me?
Or you can leave.
I'm not leaving.
Your choice.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And my name's John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. On today's episode, we're taking a look at, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. An assassin trained to the traditions of the Russian Rome organization sets out to seek revenge on her father's death. Sorry, John, that was a mouthful of a title for me, and we were discussing this prior to this review. I hate this movie's title. If we're going to throw out a negative right here about any kind of movie, I hate this. I hate this marketing play. I understand why they did it. Doesn't make it good. You know, I don't think this movie needed that. But now that I got that out of the way, let's just talk about it. John Wick, John, what is your familiarity with the franchise before we dive into this?
So it was interesting when I was watching this movie because I had seen John Wick 1 and liked it.
Absolutely.
And I had seen John Wick 2 and also liked that movie.
Cool.
And had not seen any further John
boy.
Wick. Right. So to get into this one, I was kind of surprised how slapsticky and kind of over the top silly some of the action was. Not to say that I didn't like that. I actually quite liked it.
Right.
But even to the point of having the Three Stooges on in the background to say, like, this is what you're watching.
Yeah,
you're really
Buster
watching
Keaton,
like
a house fall literally in the scene. I was like, okay.
You're watching a violent Buster Keaton movie right now, so just enjoy it.
Right, have a good time. So
exactly.
So John Wick, I love this franchise, and the reason why I love it, not so much for the story. I really won't say it's the story whatsoever. Really, what it is for me, and I like to classify it as realistic/unrealistic gun fu choreography. That's what I love about this. And I love just all the inventive ways they kill people and beat the crap out of each other. And I think it's really cool. It's very clever. I will say the last John Wick movie, the fifth installment, was probably my second favorite out of the franchise after the first one. I thought it was very good.
I'll have to go back, yeah.
It is a good finale. And unfortunately, they are making a sequel to that with the way it ended. I don't know how necessary that was. I think it did wrap it up. I do think this style of storytelling will suit the John Wick universe if you want to expand it by telling other stories set in it.
Sure.
Because again, overall, I did have a good time with Ballerina. I think it was a lot of fun. Like you said, it's just the choreography, the set pieces. That's what I'm here for. The use of unique weapons. There's 3 scenes in particular I really did enjoy, and I thought were just some of the best actually out of the John Wick franchises. The grenade scene. Where Eve has a bunch of grenades. Again, not your typical weapon, right? Especially in hand-to-hand combat, but she's literally hand-to-hand combating with grenades and finding inventive ways.
You're rarely limited to just grenades and having to find out creative ways to use grenades in a close quarters combat situation.
And is it realistic? Slightly. Unrealistic? Absolutely. But it's extremely cool and stylish. Same with the ice skate scene. There's a scene where she has a pair of ice skates and she's fighting a guy and cutting up his neck and just fighting him with, again, they're finding creative ways to use these different kind of normal items as weapons. And then the last one is actually the flamethrower scene, which is in the finale of the movie.
Yes.
That's cool. I didn't even know that would be possible with a flamethrower. And there's a scene actually where both the main actress and the guy she's fighting are actually set on fire for a period of time. His leg's on fire and her coat has actual flames on it. And that was an actual stunt. That wasn't actually CGI or anything like that. So props to you by actually like having a fight scene while on fire. Very cool. Very awesome. That's what John Wick's known for. And that's what I've come to expect. You know, since the first movie, the series has evolved, like you said, and I wouldn't even say it maybe a slapstick way, but definitely just an inventive, I'll say inventive, is that maybe that's a little more a friendlier term, an inventive way to show this gun fu that they've created for this series of having these very interesting fight scenes and these set pieces that you're going to look at and go, whoa, that was like seriously cool. You're going to pull out the Keanu Reeves, whoa, literally every time you see it because it's that cool and that's what it's known for. Also, the cinematography in general. I love the way these scenes are shot. All the action is in the goddamn camera, and I gotta tell you, man, if I can't see what's going on, and I hated that when that was like the mid 2000s, I think we went through that with like the Bourne Identity and stuff like that, where they're like shaking I'm gonna shake my camera for those at home. I shook my camera where everything's shaking. Thank God they don't do that, right? I think everything's visible. You can see everything that's happening. I understand the setup, the situation, the area of space that everything's happening in.
Yep.
Very
and there
cool.
might be complicated fight interactions going on, but everything's understandable. There's not really, you don't feel like anything's like, what just happened? What
no,
did
and
she just do?
it's fast and fluid, but visible, and you can, it's like going. I wonder if they do slow it down. They probably do. That was always like a thing, I think, with was it Star Wars Episode 1 where Ewan McGregor and Ray Park, when they were fighting as Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, they knew the choreography. They were going so fast, and in the movie they had to actually slow it down a little bit for your brain to keep up. They probably do something similar here where they actually slow down the choreography just a little bit so you can see just the movements and the fluidity of everything. And I think it's great. I really do. I really think that's, again, if you've been impressed in the John Wick series, there's more of that. You're going to love that. Absolutely. Sound design, too. I think the sound design's phenomenal. It has an upbeat soundtrack. It's always pumping the bass at the right times.
Yep.
The impact of all the moves. Again, everything just matches. I love the sense of style in this show. This movie, they know their style, right? They've had enough John Wick movies at this point where there's like almost gritty neon kind of glow to everything. I like it. It knows its style. It knows what it is. And there's the rest of the movie, and it's fine.
Well, one thing that I did like, a scene that you didn't mention, which is something that I'll have to ask you if this is something they explore in the other John Wick movies beyond 1 and 2, is that, to my memory, John Wick in the first film kind of was already the bad man. He was like tough, right? And what's unique about this is it's like the origin story, right, of a new assassin. And she, after a lot of training, gets sent on her first mission to a nightclub. That's the whole theme is ice, right? Things are frozen and it's very cold in there. And she's kind of like falling all over herself. Doesn't really know what she's doing. And I kind of liked seeing somebody who's like, I've got this. I'm tough. Oh, wait, now it's real.
Right.
What am I going to do? I got to figure it out. And she figures it out, and she gets to that John Wick point by the end of the movie. But I kind of liked seeing somebody put in a situation that they thought they were prepared for. Turns out, real life's a lot different. Okay, now I got to figure it out and make it work.
Right, and I think that's another, I should have said the rest of the movie is fine. That's another place where I think this movie does succeed, right? The evolution of Eve as a character. She has the most cliche backstory known to mankind at the beginning of the movie. But like you said, that, I would say the first like 3/4 of the movie are pretty solid as far as like her developing, becoming an assassin. The idea of having like the Ballerina dance studio, which is mentioned in the John Wick series, never fully explored because there's just no time, and that's not what it's about. So that's what these stories are about. That's what they're trying to do, bringing her story. It's interesting you said you only saw up to John Wick 2, because John Wick makes an appearance in this movie twice. The first time. And apparently the second time, because I had to look it up. Even I was kind of confused, which we'll talk maybe a little bit about later. But it takes place during John Wick 3, his where he kind of visits the Ballerina dance studio because he needs to get into a certain place. And he has to be recommunicated, which he gets his like tattoo wall or whatever confirmed and everything like that. Whatever. Again, the John Wick story isn't like the greatest, most inventive, crazy thing in the world. But yeah, again, like you said, seeing her mess up, seeing her style of fighting, I do like how they kind of differentiate it from John Wick's style of fighting. There's a line in the movie which it's kind of incredibly cheesy, but I also kind of found it endearing. When she's learning how to fight, they tell her to fight like a girl. Eve, that's your biggest strength, is to fight like a girl. And some of you out there are probably like, Kevin, that's like the cringiest line I've ever heard. Like, oh, girl boss, go fight and kick that guy's ass. No, that's not what she's saying. She says, use your strengths, use what you're able to do to defeat your opponent. And you see that, right? She kicks a guy like sheer right in the nuts and then takes him down. And that's how she defeats the guy. And you see that even too, where I think it's interesting where people kind of subvert their expectations, or they don't look at her as a killer because she is a girl. She's a younger girl. So there's a scene where she walks out of an elevator and like, oh man, were you trapped in that elevator with all this like noise and everything that was going on? Oh yes, it was dreadful. And she walks away. I like that. And it's funny because she kind of does the same thing too. There's a scene where she's in a cabin. I won't go into too many details, but there's a chef there, and you think the chef is like this kind of like pedestrian person, and she's looking at her like, oh no, go, it's safe or whatever. And then the chef starts trying to stab her, trying to fight, and she's an assassin too. Again, it's kind of funny how like she's using it to her, her abilities, but people also in her situation are doing it too.
Doing the same thing. Exactly right. Yeah.
And that's a cool assassin story. That's a very cool world that you're building right there.
Sure. Yeah. John Wick looks like a tough guy, right? Yes. The black suit, the long black hair, the beard. And it definitely messes with your expectations a little bit when the chef in the chateau pulls out a knife. It is also part of this scheme. And I think this movie had a lot of moments like that one that were just kind of surprising in a very fun way. Yeah. Right? When I went to see this movie, the person that I saw it with, I turned to them more than once and I was just like, look at that. That's crazy. There were just a lot of moments where it's like, this is crazy. Right. And it's funny. It was just very fun.
Right. And it's fun because, like I said, you're not familiar with the franchise. So you missing like 3, 4, and 5. I guess maybe I'm more used to it because I've kind of seen this is kind of like what you're expecting. Every time John Wick's like someone's trying to kill John Wick, by the end, that's the whole purpose. Someone's trying to kill John Wick and he's always put into a situation. It's like, oh, God damn it, not again. And that's what this movie's like. And I love that intensity. And, sometimes that's really all you need to get a plot moving. And that's what this movie unfortunately kind of relies on. Because, again, most of the story itself is pretty weak. I wouldn't say it's anything special. It's just a bare bones, meh kind of revenge story.
A vehicle to get this character, Ana de Armas,
and I really didn't
two different locations to shoot up the other people.
Yeah, it's really like a video game, right? And that's what it kind of feels like. Getting to the next action set piece is what it is. And, it kind of stinks that way. And I do think they kind of let her down a little bit because I do think the main actress, she did a really great job. I've seen her pop up a couple times before. I know she was in I think she was in the new Blade Runner movie at one. I think she was in that.
She was the robotic companion in Blade Runner.
Right. She's popped up a few times, and she does a really great job here. She kind of John Wicks it, but she doesn't, which I thought was interesting. She kind of does like the one word, like, yeah, cool, okay. But she also doesn't. She also does have a little bit more emotion than that, so I do appreciate her character portrayal a little bit. But unfortunately, when you have such a weak, lackluster story, it feels kind of aimless, at times, where John Wick... The basis of John Wick is his wife died from cancer and she left him a dog and they killed his dog, and that was the basis of the story. And now
he's out for revenge.
He want not even at the revenge. He just wants to rest. The man just wants to rest and be done with everything. And ultimately, through we get 5 movies worth of him, the man just wanting to rest and leave him alone. He just wants to be left alone. In this movie, even though it has a simple motivation, it's not as strong as such a simple motivation that the original had. And I think that holds it back a little bit, honestly. Just I wish I had a little bit more for her character to sink my teeth into. And the worst part about it is when you have John Wick in the movie, not so much the first scene. The first scene's fine because John Wick kind of just enters the movie and he exists in the world.
Sure, slides through the background,
and he has like a nice little like thing with her, like, oh, make sure you get the hell out of here, kind of thing. Like, go through the front door or something. Like, that's kind of cool. All right, words of wisdom, John, you're back. And then he comes back, and he's there for a while, and he beats the crap out of the main character, which I'm like, okay, you kind of beat her up. I know you're the best. You're the Baba Yaga. You're John Wick. I get it. And then you're kind of helping her, and then you just kind of like linger around a little bit, and then he has his own little fight scene with a bunch of people, and it's like, I don't think I really wanted you in this movie. As much as I love John Wick and I love Keanu Reeves and I love his character, this franchise wouldn't exist without that character. I don't think he needed to be in there, man. I think they could have done without that initial adding him in.
I have a sense that it was a lack of confidence. The same reason that the original title, when it was being promoted, included From the World of John Wick. Yes. Lack of confidence that people would go out and see this movie if they didn't have their friends tell them, oh, don't worry, John Wick is in half of it or whatever, the second half of the movie. But at least from my perspective, I enjoyed the first 2.
Right.
But this to me was nearly as entertaining as either of those. It was just slightly different because you had a main character who was had a little bit more emotion or something going on than John Wick does.
Right. And then the funny part is I feel like the inclusion of John Wick in the second half also creates a continuity issue if you watch the third movie. Where I don't know how he had time to be world traveling when some things were going down. I'm not going to spoil it for those, I guess, who haven't seen it at home. I mean, it's been a long time. But the third movie, there was really like no time for this to happen whatsoever. So whatever, it's, you know, it's
he's
the
a busy
magic of
guy.
cinema.
He's a busy guy, you know. He's
Sure,
jet
he's
setting
running
around.
for his life, and you know, I don't know. Another disappointment was kind of just the end for me, and then we'll wrap up here. I feel like by the end of this movie, essentially it just created another John Wick situation, if you will, and take that for what it will. I won't go too deep into it, but essentially how kind of the first film leaves off, essentially is kind of how this film kind of leaves off, and it's like, okay, I guess, you know. Did enough people go see this movie for it to warrant a sequel? That I don't know. I would hope it did, because I would like to see her continue the character. I would rather continue her character rather than seeing John Wick continue to show up in more movies.
At this point, right? You would rather kind of explore that character a little bit more. And I think that is a good way when you have a series that, like this, that can be kind of spun out.
Yeah.
To keep it fresh is to just have different scenarios, different leads, similar themes, similar creative action scenes. I mean, I would definitely go see a sequel to Ballerina as well. I had a lot of fun watching.
Yeah, and it's not the first time they've tried this. Covenant was a TV show that they tried from the World of John Wick. I don't think it was very well received. From what I saw, I wasn't even very interested in it for someone who loves John Wick. So I think that the Continental, I think it got canceled or whatever. And it wasn't very good, apparently. So I don't know, you know. But again, this movies seem to be the correct format for John Wick, and if they wish to continue to explore a very interesting universe, I have to say they should, right? I think they should continue on, and this was a fun movie. So, John, let's go ahead and put a final score on this one, and I'm not going to use the super long title. Sorry, guys. I'm going to give Ballerina a 7.5 out of 10. It's a satisfying movie, man. I mean, like I said, the story is nothing special, but you're not there for the story. Don't tell me you are, because you're full of crap. You're there for the action. This movie delivers on all of that. If you're a diehard gun-fu enthusiast and love John Wick, you're going to love Ballerina. You're going to have a good time with it. There's a worse way to, you know, waste some time watching a movie. And this is just pure popcorn fun. Just watching people get the crap beat out of them in 100 different ways. People get shot or stabbed or, I hate to even say, mutilated in several different ways. It's just very interesting and just very cool and very well done. And that's what Ballerina delivers. It's a fun time. I had a good time. I could see myself watching this one again, you know, much like the other John Wick movies. You know, so sometimes there's always something you miss. This would definitely be one of them. I had a good time, man. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, and you know, my score would be similar. I'd probably give this movie a 7.7 out of 10.
All right.
I had a lot of fun watching it, and you brought a thought to my mind when you were talking about kind of seeing people get shot and mutilated and all that. I appreciate when a movie sticks to its guns.
Oh shit, he did it.
Like this, and is rated R and doesn't try to tame things too much and makes its fight scenes realistic to how they would play out in this scenario. And it is just a kind of almost nearly bordering on cartoonish series of violent scenes that's just fun. And as you said, you could do a lot worse if you were on the couch and it was a rainy day and you were just looking for something to throw on, right? I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
yep.
It's pure popcorn fun.
I appreciated that the fight scenes were realistic to how they would have play out in real life. You know, if somebody actually had to fight somebody with a bandolier full of grenades, it would kind of end up like that if you were skilled enough, right?
Minus like being severely concussed, yes.
Yeah. But as long, yeah. Whatever.
But it's still fun.
Remember,
Again,
it's John Wick's universe. Remember that. But as long as you go into the movie not expecting too much more other than the bright, flashy colors and exciting action scenes, then you're definitely not going to be let down.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, I think the John Wick franchise is fun, especially if you're an action, you know, if you're an action movie kind of fan. This is modern action movies right now, and no one's doing it better. You know, I really can't say there's another franchise, not even the Marvel movies, any of them. None of them really reach the level of action that's done in here. And even if you take away the rated R level of action that's in this movie, nothing else compares to it, even if you wanted to do that. I just think they're the best in the business at what they do. They know it. Just keep making these movies and having a good time. Also, last shout out here. This was Lance Reddick's last movie. Last time we'll get to see him as Char on the manager's assistant in the hotel since he did pass away. And I'll miss Lance Reddick, man. I really like him as an actor, especially when he just pop up in bit roles, but especially through the years at the John Wick franchise, just being the guy at the counter helping everybody that goes into the Continental. I really did appreciate that role for him.
There's something, like I said, I haven't seen all the movies, but there's something special about having your stable characters, the ones that kind of, they're always going to be there. They might not play the largest role. They might not be in the center of the action, but like they're part of this universe.
Yeah, thank God we still have Ian McShane though, because Ian McShane's in every movie too. And I'm also surprised he's hanging around this series, but he does a great job too. Just again, those legacy characters need to stick around. Maybe not so much John Wick himself, but those other legacy characters definitely do help to the world building. But what I need to know down in the comments below is, what did you think of From the World of John Wick, Ballerina? There, I said the whole title. Do you think that title is as stupid as I do? Do you think this movie could have succeeded without it? I think it could have. I think the marketing could have been just strong enough, and it would have. But, some people see the title Ballerina are probably like, what the hell is that? Oh, it's a John Wick? Oh, well, people aren't as smart as we like to give them credit sometimes. But I need to know, what did you think? Is this a good addition to the John Wick franchise? Do you want to see more of these kind of films? Let me know what you think. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy's John. We are your real movie guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll see you in the next one. If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.